Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Town of Cedar Lake Utility Board public meeting for June 18, 2024. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The meeting is called to order at 6:46 p.m. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Here.
Julie Rivera?
Here.
Chuck Becker?
Here.
Greg Parker?
Here.
Mary Joan Dixon?
Here.
Rich Steele?
Here.
Nick Recupito?
Here.
I am present. Jeff Bungie?
Present.
David Austin?
Present. All right, thank you, ma'am. New business, number one, approval of minutes from May 21st, 2024. Any corrections, additions, subtractions? If not, do I have a motion to accept and waive the reading of the minutes?
So moved.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Mr. Carnahan, seconded by Mr. Parker, to accept and waive the reading of the minutes from May 21st, 2024. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Mary Joan Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Steele?
Yes.
Nick Recupito?
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Number two, review and approve the public safety buildings meter fees. We're actually looking for a motion to defer this item until next month.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Parker, seconded by Mr. Becker to defer this item to the utility board meeting in July. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Mary Joan Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Steele?
Yes.
Nick Recupito?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Number three, future water capacity needs planning discussion. Have anything, Neil, for us on that item?
No, that's our last update.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Written report, fund report, clerk treasurer, Ms. Sandberg.
The cash and expenditure reports were sent out to you all last week. I have nothing further regarding the fund reports, but I did want to give you all a quick little update on our lead service line inventory that we're required to get done by October of this year. So in mid-May, my office began working on the preliminary inventory review with 120 Water. We gained access to their platform. Sue had a meeting with them, and then me and my office staff got in on a subsequent meeting so that we could actually go through utilizing the platform, seeing how everything works and all the information is on there. At that time, we had approximately 1,100 unknowns. We weren't sure of their build date, or, so we were unable to see whether or not they were after the 1987, when it's considered non-lead. So staff started digging through records like crazy, and I want to applaud Gail and Stephanie in my office, because they've been combing through every single piece of paper they could find to whittle that number down, and they've done it significantly. Now we only have 104 unknowns, so we're on to what we believe is the next stage of the process, and we'll be working with 120 Water to compile a survey to send out to those 104 property owners. The hope is to get the information back directly from the property owner regarding what kind of lines they have, lead, non-lead, what their service types are. If we don't, my understanding is if we don't get them to respond to the survey, then that's where we'll work with water utility staff to start doing field inspections ourselves to make sure we're in compliance by that October deadline.
Very good. Any questions for Jen? All right, thank you, Jen. Number five, consultants and staff reports. Engineer Neese. Good evening, Neil.
Thank you, Mr. President. Outside Sanitary Interceptor Sewer Project 1, the punch list items are proceeding. They are slow. Obviously, punch list items take some time in terms of us reviewing them, making their updates and upgrades, and then us inspecting them. West Side Project 2, design is complete. We've acquired all easements through David and his staff. And then West Side Project 3, the concept is complete and are awaiting direction to move forward as you guys see fit. The water update The tower fencing is 75% complete. We're waiting for the frontage. The
That's
gate-
at Crystal Oaks?
Crystal Oaks, yes, absolutely, Bob, you're correct. And then the rest of the site work is also substantially complete. We received the O&M manuals this week. I am reviewing those, and then we will submit those to staff for their records. And then on the water issue, Jen had mentioned that we had some unknowns on the lead lines, and at our utility board staff meeting Tuesday of last week, we have all the records for Utopia, so we're reviewing those with staff to provide them, and then 120, the information on any of those lines in the Utopia area, which on the west side would be one of the older areas that may potentially have that. But from our initial survey over the past 4 to 5 days, we have not seen any lead lines. But we'll complete that project, submit that to staff for review, and then ultimately to your consultant for 120.
Okay, speaking of Utopia, what's the status? There was a couple outstanding items, I think some curb repair and some landscape berm restoration.
Yeah,
Where are we at on that?
The berm restoration, that's being completed by the residence contractor, and then the general contractor for the town is paying for that work and coordinating that so it gets completed. There were 2 curb sites. One has been completed, and I have not yet received confirmation that the other site has yet been completed. But the first one has been completed.
Okay, do you have to inspect those projects when they're
Yes.
done then, Neil?
Yeah,
Okay.
once we get confirmation both are completed, then we'll have to send an inspector out to provide documentation, and we'll upload that to our FTP site for staff.
Okay.
And Jen, the 1,100 that you mentioned unknown, could that be Utopia?
It's a possibility. We have a way to pull an Excel spreadsheet, but that 1,100 is what we've started with. We're actually down to 104 unknowns at this time.
All right.
All right. Any questions for Neil? All right. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
B, Director of Operations, Superintendent, Mr. Kubiak.
I don't know if you're aware of this.
Operational Director, not Superintendent.
Well, it's the report,
Oh,
slash
okay.
superintendent report, yeah. Go ahead, Sam.
I don't know if you're aware, but Gatlin did send a letter to us stating that all of the service lines that were connected in Utopia were either plastic or copper.
Yeah, we did find some
Verification
that were slight discrepancy from that, but we haven't seen any that would indicate that you have a lead.
Yeah, so. He said, yeah, he said that they were, he sent us a letter that said there was no, there were no lead service lines, so I don't know if that's any help to Jennifer or not, but, yeah, we're still, Monday morning, we dropped down to like 37 pounds of water pressure on the west side from all the irrigation and the hot weather. I contacted Olthoff and Schillings, and I had those guys adjust their sprinkler system so they didn't all turn on at 4 a.m. because it seems like between 4 and 6 o'clock, everybody who has a sprinkler system was watering, so
You said it went down to 37%?
37 pounds
Oh, pounds.
PSI, so today it was good. It didn't get below 45 is the low pressure, and it stayed above that, so I don't know. We're hoping that trying to get people to get their times spread out along with the odd and evens, the HOA people, the Old Top HOA guy, and also the Showing Development didn't really know about the odd and even thing, so I don't know if they don't get it in the bill or what, but I had Kirsten put that out there again and try to get people to fluctuate their time a little bit and try not to water at 4 a.m., so hopefully that will help. We're trying to reach out to the HOA in Beacon Central, because that's also another big one that, does it at 4 a.m., so I emailed them, but I haven't got a response as of yet, so hopefully, that'll make some difference, so.
All right.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Tim. Town Attorney Austin?
No reports.
Okay, thank you. We have update discussion, Morse Street water line extension. Has there been any movement on that that we're aware of?
Well, there is a blurb in the Christopher Burke report about East Side Water.
I know last I spoke with Don, he was getting ready to submit something, I think, to IDEM.
Yeah, they sent everything in for the preliminary, item for the construction permit, so, the guy came back from vacation, they were sending something back, and, Don was actually having Neil, or Ryan sign off on those construction permit applications today, so he was sending them back out.
Okay. So waiting to hear back?
The ball is rolling, yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that suffices. Unless you had anything else to add, Jeff? Or is that sounds right?
That's pretty much it in a nutshell. He did give a date here that, all of the, permitting information, supporting documentation, chemical treatment, I went down to IDEM, June 12th for review.
Okay.
So that would have been the end of last week.
All right, thank you, sir. We'll move on to JMOD report.
I have a couple of things, Mr. President. First off, we still have not received the true-up for 2023. It was due March 1st, and as every year goes, we do not receive it until about June, or the middle of June. We still have not received it.
So in 2022, it was the end of May. Last year, it was June 3rd.
Yeah, so March 1st is when it is. I just know that when we do see the true-up, I will be willing to bet that they're gonna expect payment right away, because according to the agreement, you make the payments right away, but this is where, again, we are only going, by part of the agreement. So I don't know where we sit right now. We, at the last JMOB meeting that we had, Craig Hendricks was handed a list of emailed questions from Sue Hayes that they had, and he was made aware that, we still needed them answered since they were not answered, and yet we have not had any, I have not had any, response from him. Jeff, have you, in regards to the email questions? So at this point, I don't know what we do as far as the fact that we have an agreement that is only half listened to, half, half agreed upon, and what we do moving forward, I'm kind of at a loss right now, other than what do we do as far as have the attorney look into this, or, because once we go down that path, it's a whole, especially with the expansion coming up.
Dave, you have anything to add to this?
Not much to look into. The fact pattern is what it is. It's breach of contract, and selective enforcement by them does not relieve them of liability or responsibility. We need to know if they agree to do it. They have to.
Rich, those questions that we've asked them to answer, how many questions are there, do you know off the top of your head?
I have 5 pages, but, some of them are lengthy. I do not have the total number of questions for you, but this was all from back to the 2022 true-up, and aside from that true-up questions that we had, there were even expense report questions from 2023 that we asked. I personally emailed the clerk treasurer down there to see what the expenses were on a vehicle, around $40,000 made out to Terry's Ford. Was this vehicle to replace another unit? Was it just an addition to the facility? I never received a response back yet on that.
And you're constantly pressuring them to get us the answers to those questions.
I every time I see them, I make sure that they know it's not answered, but I handed it to Craig after the last meeting was over with and said, this is not going away. So that's where we're at.
This is going back to 2023, Bob, because Jennifer,
2022.
Well, I think the first correspondence with them was 2023, right?
Correct, yes.
And with regard to 2022 true-up, we withheld payment, I believe, because we had a lot of questions, and then we sent them a letter, and I don't think you or Sue ever got any answer on that?
No, it was my understanding that shortly after we had received the year 2022 true-up, there were some questions, and the town manager at the time, Mr. Slatus, had been funneling those questions back and forth to Mr. Hendricks. I believe there is one email where maybe a couple of them were answered, but not all of them were answered. As we got closer to the end of the year, it was December when Sue and I were going back and forth over some of the items, and I asked for her help in creating a memorandum so that we could get that to Judy, the previous clerk treasurer down there, because Judy had reached out to me in, I want to say, end of October, November sometime, telling me that she wished to get everything cleared up before her term in office was over. So we worked on that memorandum, we sent it to her, and then we received nothing.
Jen, for the benefit of the audience, would you explain what a true-up is and what it means?
I'm not going to be able to give you a good
I can
explanation
give
on
you a
that.
really brief description of it.
Yeah.
So whatever the capacities are used and whatever we're doing on a monthly, when we see our monthly reports, whether we use 51% or 56% and Lowell uses 40-some% and vice versa, and it flips back and forth, as we make our monthly payments at the end of the year, whatever those numbers are on the actual capacities used.
We pay for the extra percentage.
So if we are over, yes, that's exactly what the true-up does.
And what it's basically been, we've been using about 51% of the plant on an average. Now, for this, for the month of May, we use 56.53% of the plant, and Lowell only used 43.47. So we're over by 6.53%.
And last year's true-up with the discrepancy when all the questions arose, and then we did not make the true-up payment, it was roughly $160,000. That we kind of withheld because we were not getting answers. After the first JMOB meeting, we kind of we instructed Jen to make the payment then, kind of, in my thoughts, was in a good faith thing, saying, okay, we're making the payments, let's get this figured out, let's get some answers. We are no further along with any questions, not even one being answered, other than the fact that we're looking at a $52 million sewer capacity.
Increase.
Yeah, increase. Going from 4 million gallons a day to 8.
We'll have to get creative on how we can get the answers out of them, I guess. We're more creative. I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
But you, Mary Jo and Rich, you're both putting pressure on them when you go to those meetings.
Absolutely. And I want to thank the residents. They came to our last meeting, and we had more Cedar Lake residents than Lowell at the meeting.
That's the one in Lowell.
So
yes.
Very nice to have your support. Thank you.
I do have one more thing, Mr. President. It kind of goes back with the sanitary update.
Sorry, Rich.
I know I mentioned it before in the past that after Greg and I had a meeting with Senator Niemeyer and Mike Aylesworth, that they brought to our attention that there was potential funding for water, sewer, stuff like that. And I contacted a Camille Minor. She did contact Neil, and we kind of gave him a rundown on the Westside Sanitary Sewer Interceptor Project 3A and B, and then she said that they could also potentially help with financing for Project 2. I did talk to her today. She said that she would be willing to set up a meeting with us. However, the grant portion of it was due by the beginning of April, so obviously we're not eligible for that for at least Project 2. Project 3, we need to keep that on the forefront. But as far as Project 2, roughly $3 to $4 million for that. She said that she could sit down. However, that is due by the end of this month. So if we want to have any kind of additional assistance with any funding, we're on, yeah. So I just wanted to make that clear that I spoke with her today. She said she could make herself available to have a discussion with us, what we do with steps with Jeff and, you know, getting stuff filled out moving forward before the end of the month.
Who's she?
Camille Miners with the IFA.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Rick. Okay, J-Mob report is complete. We'll move on to public comment for the utility board. Public comment for the utility board.
Ken, that would be you, if you wanna.
Yeah, please come on up, sir. State your name and address for the record.
Ken McAllister, 10501 West 133rd Avenue, Lot 8.
A former town council member.
Badger renting some space for me, and they do some water excavation, and they had asked me to talk to the board, or I actually talked to Jeff, about getting some water that they could use. And what I suggested was go ahead and getting a water meter and put it on the end of the line that I put in years ago. I think it's an 8-inch main, and it's in the industrial park, right at the end of the road. And then they could get, they talked like they were going to get about 500 gallons a day per truck, and they've got 3 trucks. And all the town had to do is have a meter for it, and then they would read the meter at the end of the month and bill them. So I talked to Jeff, and I'm not on the meeting agenda tonight, but I think I'm supposed to be on the next one, if I need to be.
Yeah, excuse me, Jeff and I spoke about this last week, and it was something that we were gonna consider putting on the agenda for next month.
Okay.
So, we had talked about it a little bit, and, so we'll see what you guys, what the proposal is, and go from there.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay, last call for public comment for utility board. Sam, bring anybody online? Further?
No attendees this month.
Okay. This meeting is adjourned at 7:07 PM. Next meeting is Tuesday, July 16th, 2024, at 6:30 PM. Please stick around. ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Town of Cedar Lake Town Council meeting for June 18th, 2024. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for opening prayer?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Corcoran? Hey, good evening. In your prayer, can you please send some prayers up for Mr. Bob Patico? He served as a park board member here for a handful of years, but passed away recently. Thank you, sir.
School board member, too.
School board too?
Yes.
First of all, I want to thank you all for serving our community as long as you have. And I know some of you have done it a long time, some of you not so much, but it's, I do know as a pastor, it takes a lot of the time. So I want to thank you guys as far as dear God, I just want to thank you for all that you've created. You've done so much for us, given us a beautiful town. I do know that it's a wonderful place to grow up. I've been here almost my whole life. I grew up as a boy here, moved away, but I'm back, and it's just wonderful to be here. I know that these men and women sacrifice their time for the betterment of our community, Lord, and I know that I just want to ask you that you would guide them, give them wisdom and understanding, help them to be just. Guide this meeting today, Lord. I want you to be here. I want you to assist them, help them to protect our town, and to protect the people, and to protect our freedoms that we have. I know the Bible speaks of it in a way in James chapter 2, verse 8, where it says, "Indeed, if you keep the royal law prescribed in the Scriptures, which is to love your neighbor as yourself, you do well." When I think about the loss of someone that is important to our town, I know that we've lost a lot of good people that have been, very integral in developing this community and making it go forward. The loss of another one is not easy to take, Lord, but we just pray that you protect them and keep them in your hands. And we just want to thank you for that. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, sir. This meeting is called to order at 7:19 p.m. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Here.
Julie Rivera? Here. Chuck Becker?
Here.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Here.
Richard Field?
Here.
Greg Parker?
Here.
Nick Recupero?
Here.
I am present. Jeff Bungie?
Present.
David Austin?
Here. Thank you. First item of business is an oath of office for Connor Riley, Chief Wilkening.
Just a couple weeks late. But
Okay.
his mom is back again. You must really love him, Mom.
Yeah.
Okay, good. You're gonna.
Did you want to say a couple words first, or do you want to
Yeah.
be over first?
Just
How
give
do
me-
you want
give me
to
2
go?
seconds. Connor is a success story on being a local kid that went to our local high school, joined the volunteer fire department, went to EMT school, and went through the academy, and now is getting hired by our department. So he was born and raised in this area, went to Haven Central High School, and he's now going to be able to give back to our community as our next hiree. So with that being said, I'm very proud to announce and honored to announce our newest firefighter.
Okay.
All right.
Normally I stand on this
Stand
side.
by.
I don't. We'll share this side today. Connor, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Connor Riley,
I, Connor Riley,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully support
that I will faithfully support
the Constitution of the United States
Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Indiana,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Indiana,
the ordinances of the town of Cedar Lake,
the ordinances of the town of Cedar Lake,
and the rules and regulations of the Cedar Lake Fire Department,
and the rules and the regulations of the Cedar Lake Fire Department,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and honestly discharge
and honestly discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as a firefighter EMT,
as a firefighter EMT,
to which I have been appointed
to which I've been appointed
according to the law,
according to the law,
and to the best of my skills and ability,
and to the best of my skills and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
This is your opportunity to get in one good time.
Right ahead.
There it is. That's perfect, that's I can say one more thing. If I could get the fire department family that's here, up here for a picture with Connor.
What are you looking for?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. You could, no, you can stay, you can stay. That's fine, all of us, yeah. As you can see, a percentage of the guys are here to, the guys and gals are here to support their brother firefighters, so. He's coming up too. Come on, everybody get up here, get around us. This is part of our family, guys, and, you know, it's a blessing and an honor to be working with, actually working for them. That's what I do on a daily basis, so, thank you.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
All right, thanks.
No worries.
Please help me. Connor.
Congratulations, man.
I think so. Showed me where it's supposed to go. Yeah. Need some tape on the floor. All right. We have a Cedar Lake Police Department special presentation. Chief Fisher?
Yep.
How you doing?
Good evening, Town Council members. Recently, the Cedar Lake Police Department partnered up with the Sounds of Sarah Incorporated. Sounds of Sarah is a non-profit organization whose mission is to raise awareness of the opioid and illicit drug epidemic, along with providing public access to information and resources. Recently, Sounds of Sarah Director Patty Stovall provided our town with a free opioid rescue kit, which has been installed in the front door of the lobby into the town complex. This kit has free naloxone, otherwise known as Narcan, nasal spray free to the public. This container, when used, will be refilled with the Narcan kits provided by the Sounds of Sarah non-for-profit organization. Tonight, on behalf of the Cedar Lake Police Department, the Cedar Lake Town Council, Board of Safety, and most of all, the citizens of Cedar Lake, we want to present this certificate of appreciation to Patty Stovall and the Sounds of Sarah Incorporated for their generous donation of the opioid rescue box and naloxone kits. It is because of the dedication of individuals like Ms. Stovall that communities have these life-saving resources and support for victims and families associated with the opioid crisis.
If you don't know, like I said, my name is Patty Stovall. I lost my daughter to illicit fentanyl poisoning in 2021, and my organization was started in 2022 in memory of my daughter. I do work not only locally, but my organization was funded after I went to Washington, after being invited to the DEA Faces Fentanyl. My daughter was the first 400 faces that was in the DEA museum, Faces Fentanyl. Now there are over 5,000 faces in Faces Fentanyl in the DEA museum. And so I work nationally and locally to bring awareness to our community. So I thank you all for what you do and to raise awareness around illicit fentanyl poisoning. So, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for what you do.
My condolence to you on the loss of your daughter.
Thank you. Thank you. We are the second largest county in the state of Indiana, so I do work with the state as well. I placed first vending machine in Lake County, and our hope is to make sure that all cities, counties, everyone has a naloxone box and carries Narcan. Everyone should carry it, because you just never know when you could save a life.
Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you very much.
So you're aware, we have that Narcan box up front in the front lobby that never locks. If it gets used, we just refill it with the supply that they gave us or reach out to them. And it's a good start. We have some brochures that Patty provided there on the table over there, so if there's anyone in the audience or anyone online that may need some assistance and don't know what to do, that's the first start. A lot of families run into these situations where they just don't know what to do and they don't know where to go or where to turn. So that's the start, and maybe they can get them down the right path to hopefully never have to utilize the Narcan, but at least it's there to save that person's life. I can tell you that our fire department stays with Narcan on a rather frequent basis, unfortunately. But they do a phenomenal
We've
job.
distributed over 15,000 since starting the organization. We've helped over 10,000 individuals, and everyone should have it in their home, in their car, in their first aid kit, in their house. It might not be your child, but it could be someone else's that comes to your house. Everything is laced with fentanyl today, and they might not know what they're taking. These young kids today, they can just take something. This is not about addiction. This is about kids testing something and taking their lives. So we've lost over 118,000 individuals last year from fentanyl poisoning. So it's a preventative measure in this country. We have it here. I can get as much as we need, and we're lucky in our state that we have that opportunity to have naloxone at our fingertips. So.
All of our officers carry it. They give it pretty routinely. As you can see, he's got it right over there. So if they go in and think that it's a potential overdose, they can give it because it's a drug that can be given that does nothing if there is no opioid in the system.
And we do
The
have.
doctors had a name for it, but I can't think of what it's called. But
We can administer it to anyone. We have Aaron's Law in the state of Indiana, so it could be administered to a pet, a newborn, all the way up to a senior. So it's safe for us to provide that to someone, even if we do not think they're having an overdose. We can be trained to know what those signs and symptoms are to administer that. So
Thank you.
Yeah,
Please.
Can we all get a picture?
Yeah, we can all get a picture.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Want us down there, Chief?
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Oh, join it.
Great. Photograph well.
Yeah. Come on, sneak in.
People filling on the other side too.
I got my work clothes on still.
I'll hide you.
All right.
There, Bob?
Again, ready, 1, 2, 3. Great.
Perfect. Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate what you do.
Go ahead, buddy, I'll let you go back first.
exercising today.
Our phone was talking about it yesterday, but here today.
Oh, yeah. Different scenario.
Well, I understand how long is it? What's the odds?
We had on the agenda recognition of service. We're gonna have to put that item on the next town council meeting agenda. Individual, is not present at the moment. So we're gonna move on to Veritas Group, Police and Fire Building Complex updates. We have representatives from Veritas here. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Hi.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, thank you for having us here today to provide an update on the public safety building next door. Obviously, it's easy for you guys to see it up and close, passing by, day in and day out, week in and week out, but it's been a few months since we provided an update, so we wanted to take a moment here tonight to speak a little bit about it. Cliff, if you could go ahead and present the next slide. Site work progresses. We've got all the light poles are installed. The curb installation and the exterior concrete are nearing completion. There are certain portions that will have to remain until the water main along Morrison Constitution is installed. NIPSCO, I think last time we were expecting the transformer. That's all installed and operational, so we're under permanent power. Asphalt is scheduled to begin this week, and just looking at the site today, stone began to be compacted and rolled in today, so it's underway. Domestic water to the site is obviously awaiting the notice of intent, but as we heard in the last meeting, that Christopher Burke did submit the permit to IDM, and so things.
And I would just like you to, the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, for the audience that might not understand the acronym.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Cunningham. So that permit has been submitted, and it sounds like that is underway and moving forward. There are anticipated delays due to that. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. Cliff, if you can go ahead and move on. Next slide, thank you. Police station, we've got final paint underway. If you walk through it, it looks like it's nearly complete. There's obviously a lot of craft paper on the floors for floor protection, and so there is a final cleanup necessary. There's no furniture yet, but all the final hardware is being installed, and the building completion is scheduled for end of June. The apparatus bay on the fire station side of things, finishes are underway. It looks beautiful in there right now. Getting ready to install the epoxy on the garage floor yet this week. The doors, both sectional and bifold, are installed. As you may have seen, the beautiful bifold red doors from Moore Street. Casework installation is in process through the building. The majority of it is done. Casework, for those who don't know, might be cabinetry, millwork, kitchen cabinets, so on and so forth, built-in cabinetry. Fire station, the building finishes are on schedule to be complete in about a month or so in July. Next slide, please. So our budget, we are on budget. There has been no change to the budget, and our schedule is really, we are on schedule except for the water main delay. So everything within the project itself is on schedule and on budget. To remind the council, we did have a total GMP, guaranteed maximum price on this project of $15,575,000. That was established back in 2022 during the design development, and there has been no change to that since then. We do have an owner's contingency which has not been touched. There has been no need to touch that to date of $125,000 that is part of the guaranteed maximum price and protected within the project budget. Getting it down into the percentage complete we're about 90% complete. Really, we're down to multiple finishes, furnishings, and then finishing up the site work to complete this project. And it is billed at right around 80% since the last billing. At this time, I would open up the floor to any questions that anybody may have.
I have one. Councilmember Becker showed me a picture of a crack. Was that in the police or fire?
Fire, second floor.
On the floor.
Okay. In the concrete slab? Is that what we're...
By the doorway.
To the staircase, was it?
Staircase, yeah.
Okay. That is good to know. We'll take note to make sure that on our next walkthrough, we'll take a look at that. There is always a punch list. The contractor and the developer will perform their own punch list, but then they will also invite the owner to do a punch list walk as well. Anything that is considered a deficiency or workmanship, crack in the concrete, can be identified, talked through, pointed out, or repaired. And those repairs will be made as part of the closeout of the project.
And then I'm understanding that we need to put some storm drainage in south of the buildings on Constitution. Is that true? That the drainage for the buildings, it can't be handled on the town grounds? That's what I've heard.
So I don't think that that's accurate.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
There's a fully operational storm system. Right now, everything is outletting to the riprap area just outside of the town hall parking lot.
By the garbage cans?
By the garbage can, correct, yes. But there is a future provision made also to be tied into Constitution once those improvements are done. So we kind of designed that into the project looking forward, knowing that Constitution will be improved, hopefully soon.
But the project for improving Constitution, that's not part of this project.
It is not, that's correct. We've just made the provision when we were putting the underground installation in, we made the provision so that that storm line, the underground pipe, can be attached to later to be able to convey those waters off site, as opposed to just relying on the riprap detention area. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The delay,
Go ahead.
the delay, what could that cost us? Because you're gonna have to still supervise the site, et cetera. Could you explain all that to us, please?
Yeah, let me do my best. Anytime there is a delay in a project, there are associated costs. We don't dispute that. Yet we try to do our best to negotiate those, navigate those, and keep those as minimal as possible. So we are currently in that process. The contractor and the developer have issued proposed expected delay costs to us. We've kind of taken those, evaluated those, provided comment back. So we are in this kind of negotiation right now where we're navigating those fees and trying to come to a place where both sides are more in agreement. But we want to make sure that it's fair for us. We want to make sure it's fair for you, the owner, which is what we're working through. So I don't have exact dollar cost yet. We are working through that.
So in the meeting that we had with Jeff, I brought the paper with me, and just thinking of some of the questions I had, is there any headway at all on the questions that I had for you, or?
There is. The questions you have specifically, which...
Well, specifically, I'm going to go to the remobilization for completing the asphalt.
Okay.
One of my main questions I had for you that day was why, and you said that it had to have to do with if we prep the site for the base coat and don't do the base coat, it puts that work in jeopardy if it's a month, 2 months, whatever delay. And I know you took notes on it. However, I drive past today and it's already prepped for that base coat, and now that question I had is too late.
Yeah, and Mr. Field, I apologize if you perhaps you didn't see it, but I did have a communication I sent out to Jeff about that because I wanted to make sure that I followed up on that specific question. And you pretty much addressed that. There is a good reason that we would never want to delay the asphalt once that parking lot is prepped.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that we roll in the stone and compact the stone it's actually before that, the situation that we already had before the stone was mobilized and rolled in and shaped. Already we are at risk. At this point in time, the contractor is already dewatering the low side, kind of toward the job trailer. There's a trench and they have a pump set up because the water sheds down to that low spot.
Okay.
And it turns into soup over time. So we end up later having to dig that out, export the junk soil, the unsuitable soils, and then bring in stone, and that all costs money. Now, the remobilization cost specifically on the asphalt portion that we're looking at, the proposed cost that they brought to us was about $12,000 for removal.
Yeah, 12,130.
I think from our perspective, it's fair, but on the high side. But the risk that we would be accepting by not proceeding with asphalt binder could be in the six figures.
Okay.
It's a huge risk.
Okay, and then just so the audience knows, the proposed cost from the contractor, $99,851. What you have proposed cost $64,124. So when do you expect to see any difference in that number?
I think we're making headway. It's just not finalized.
Okay.
So there was communication as recently as this morning from the contractor. One of my colleagues is reviewing that, is to review that tomorrow morning, and then we'll confer and provide comment back. But I think that we're really close to having a really good, solid understanding on that.
Okay.
And as I said, the owner contingency, kind of pointing back to the owner contingency, which would be the bucket of money that we would use to cover situations like this. There are sufficient funds. They have not been touched. But we're doing our best to protect that contingency bucket for any and all uses by trying to push back on some of these costs and saying, we think it would be more fair if we approached it this way as opposed to what you proposed. So.
Did that answer your question? Do you have another
One
one?
more question. So, mine to understand, the drainage is, the water just comes through the parking lot and hits this pit down here?
It
There's
doesn't
no
come
pipes?
through the parking lot. It does not come through
It
the
does not
parking
come
lot.
through the
No, it is being, it's a great question.
I can help with that.
Yeah, David?
Yeah, so there's a drainage system designed throughout the parking lot, so the water's conveyed and picked up by inlets. There is going to be some water that naturally is going to come down that parking lot without question. But the majority of it is going to be picked up by inlets and then through pipe conveyed to that swale with the riprap. And then from there, it's discharged.
So under the parking lot that exists right now, there's pipes and things?
So right along, if you go right along the south side of the parking lot,
the playground,
on that grass, there is a pipe that's installed that conveys the water down.
Thank you.
I had a question for you, gentlemen, and it's regarding an agenda item that we're going to be considering under new business, which is the fire department emergency vehicle preemption bid. We were told it wasn't part of the project. I heard last week it is part of the project. Where are we at on that? I mean, we were concerned that we had to, we have an extra cost added on beyond the cost of construction, so can you give us some clarification on that, please?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So when this project began, that preemptor was a line item within the budget. So it was a budget item. And it wasn't until a little bit later in design where I started trying to dial in on some of these FF&E numbers, fixtures, furniture, equipment, and that was one of those items that I started trying to dial in on. And at that time, when I started inquiring, is when I found out that it was to be handled outside of the project by the town. Now, having said that, it was in the same conversation around the improvements on Constitution. So it made perfect sense to me. They're doing improvements on Constitution, things along Moore Street and Constitution may change. So it made sense to me, and I proceeded as such, directed in such a fashion.
Okay, so it's still outside of the scope of work?
Right now, yes.
Okay.
Now, I would say that if the town should choose, we do have that owner contingency, which has not been spent yet, and that probably could be absorbed within that cost. I would probably say at this point, I would maybe advise you hold off on that, approving that to be proceeded, because we don't really need it yet. We don't need it until there's apparatus in those bays, and Chief Wilkie can speak to that, but if there's no apparatus coming out of those bays, we don't need that fuel delay. So as we're trying to navigate these costs on the delay and understand those, what needs to be absorbed there could be some room if we could absorb that back into the project.
So if there's room there and there's money left in that owner contingency, that would be acceptable to do that?
I would advise the town to anything we can pay for out of that GMP, out of that guaranteed maximum price that we pay for out of there.
That's what I'm kind of thinking, but
So,
it's $50-something thousand.
How much would it cost to improve Constitution? How much do you think, roughly? That's not in the, I know it's not in the.
Don
That's
has
a Don question.
Christopher Bieber.
I mean, that could be another added expense.
yeah, if I'm correct, the preemptor lights are, they're flashing signals with solar panels, right? So, and they're communicating back and forth. And so there'll be a box in the apparatus bay that when the apparatus.
Not these are optical sensors.
Okay, optical sensors.
So, yeah.
So, and what I'm getting at is there's no infrastructure or conduits that are connected to them or going back to the apparatus bay. So we could pause and wait just a minute on those, and let's get some other idea what those costs are coming in after the delays.
I kind of like that. All right, any other questions for these gentlemen?
Yeah, did you guys hear any more, as far as that Comcast pole or, that's in the way of the drive lane on the west side of the police building? That was kind of right in the middle of where the drive would come out?
Still working on that, but in our view, it is the contractor's responsibility to pursue those changes.
Okay.
The contractor, do you mean Core or Comcast?
Core in this situation.
Any other questions?
I guess I just have one more comment. So with regard to these costs, whether it's the delayed costs or anything that we're looking at or reviewing, so we don't approve and spend dollars on your behalf. So we would put together, we're going to try to drive that price down as far as we can. We'll put a recommendation together and then bring that back to the town for review and approval. I just want to make sure that it's very clear that this body, the town, are the ones that are approving those dollars. So.
And that'll go right to Jeff?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
Now, we've had some discussion about bringing Mary Jo and Rich in.
And they are, after the meeting that I had with, Jeff, Mary Joan wasn't able to attend, she had something else going on. But we did, make it clear with Lance that, as council affairs, Mary Joan and I are, added to the emails, as far as that goes. And right away, whatever was going to Jeff, day or two after we were received.
Mr. Kubiak?
I just have a question on the signals. I mean, I know that Christopher Burt went through the preparation and the bidding process and got the bids in. I mean, do those have a expiration, the quotes, does it have a expiration on those bids? Or I don't want to have to see that, have to all go through that whole process of free bidding and redoing all that work. I mean,
sometimes those
you may be
have
saving a few bucks and spending, another $10,000 on that, so.
Yeah, that's a good point. When we get to that point, I guess we could dig into the packet and look at that.
Just make sure, I don't know how good they're, how long their quotes were good for.
Okay.
So that's a really good point.
Just keep in mind.
And I guess to Mr. Kubiak's point, if those bids have an expiration or you'd be in jeopardy of losing a cost that's an advantageous cost for the town, you could accept those, you could have that work done, and then we could reimburse from the town, from that GMP. So literally submit that to GM Development, and then that could be paid. So.
That simple, huh?
Well, because the reason is because of the BOT and the way we're delivering this project, so it's a private delivery to the developer. And so really what he needs, honestly, is an invoice to pay. So if we're paying for work for these lights, let's say, and the town's gonna do that, we could reimburse that from his guaranteed maximum price.
As long as we gave an invoice to you.
As long as he has an invoice to pay and it's for the project,
Okay.
and it is for the project. So,
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay.
Appreciate you taking time. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Caper, do you have a question?
I do.
Yep, go ahead.
I'm Charlie Caper, I sit on the Board of Safety. I understand we have a fire pole in the fire department, and I'm hearing that OSHA does not approve them. What is your response to that?
I'm not aware that OSHA does not approve them. I could look into that, but I'm not aware. I mean, fire poles are a very common item in a fire department, especially in a two-story fire department, for them to be in there. I'm not aware that they're not approved by OSHA.
Well, because of safety, with people going down and causing leg injuries, et cetera, whatever, I just have a little concern about that.
Yeah, there's also injuries when they come downstairs too, rapid. So there are risks in everything. I'm not aware that there's an OSHA issue with fire pole. We can certainly look into that, but they've been installed in multiple fire stations that we've actually worked on. And there are things that are attributed to that device that are safety functions, right? That you have to do certain things to get on that pole, come down.
That's what I understand.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
Would you check into the
Absolutely.
safety of it though, please?
Absolutely.
Right, thank you.
All right. Thanks again, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it. Thank
Yep. Okay, public hearing, number one, ordinance number 1456, public way vacation, continue public hearing, Rego. This item was deferred at initial public hearing on a slew of dates. This was the final deferral for the town council decision recently. Review of legals, Attorney Austin, I'm sure everything's all good.
For the 14th time, this time, this matter is before you properly advertised and noticed.
Okay. Have you had any correspondence since the last meeting with legal representation?
I have, and I did receive a phone call from Attorney Weezer that I was not able to return this morning. But other than that, no.
Okay. But they knew that this was the final deferral, I would assume?
They did.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This is for a vacation. Mr. Parker, would you mind reading ordinance number 1456 by title? Yeah, there's one more sneaking down there. There you go. Well, I think it's one more.
Should be right below the word sound.
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, ordinance number 1456, an ordinance vacating public way in the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, sir. We'll open up the floor to remonstrators. Anyone for or against this request? Anyone for or against this request? Last call. Remonstrance is now closed. Town council discussion?
I did notice, Mr. President, that in this packet that we've seen numerous times, that there is no additions made after this last instructions of what we were gonna, we were waiting, I believe, on what the cost was for NIPSCO to change the pole location.
Yes, sir.
So, I just wanted to point that out. I have not seen it, and I don't know if anybody else has.
I have not. Nothing new. Okay.
That is the answer.
To me, that's the answer.
And I can assume that if this got an unfavorable recommendation tonight, Attorney Austin, that they could petition the town again with those
They can.
conditions we set.
If you deny this ordinance, they could come back.
In a year?
No, there's no prohibition on public way vacation.
All right.
They come back, they can come back tomorrow.
Okay.
But I don't want the application, all that.
Is there terms as far as if they were to come back and say they wanted to be on the next meeting, if there's no updated information, does it have to be on the agenda? Or does it get put on again?
No, it does. If they apply, come back, even if it's identical in every respect.
They have to apply for a public hearing again, right?
They'd have to have a public hearing, give notice,
Yeah.
Mhm.
all of that would happen.
So it can be as today?
Good.
Okay, just wanted to make it clear.
For the record, I'm still in favor of vacating it if the poles are moved, if they want to.
I am with you on that too.
Likewise. All right, do we have a town council decision on ordinance number 1456? Anyone like to make a motion on ordinance number 1456?
Mr. President, I'll make the motion, sure. To just, deny, ordinance 1456, I don't know what else I have to add to it, I'm trying to read everything into it.
I think that's probably good, Mr. Teal.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking into it too much.
There was a lot of ink here.
Yeah, there was a lot of ink, I'm not wanting to miss anything.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Teal, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Becker to deny ordinance number 1456. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
No.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Thiel?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupido?
Yes, motion carries 6-1. Thank you. Number 2, resolution number 1354, additional appropriation. Ms. Sandberg?
So the legal notices were published timely in both the Post-Tribune and the Times on May 31st and June 3rd respectively. This is for an additional appropriation in the amount of $60,000 within the Cumulus Capital Development Fund. This is for the dump truck rehabilitation that Mr. Kubiak previously brought before you all. We were waiting on some updated quotes and such like that. That's why it's just now going for public hearing. This is also for an additional appropriation in the amount of $79,459. That is for the 2023-2 Community Crossing Grant Fund. That's so we can get site services paid out for that final pay request that was previously approved.
Okay.
So the 60,000 was for additional dumpsters?
No, dump truck rehabilitation.
Oh, dump truck rehabilitation. There was no explanation on there, so I didn't know that. All right, thank you.
Yeah, that's what you guys had discussed and approved back in April.
How's that going, Tim? Or that's gonna put us in the
We're
queue?
waiting parts, it's just about ready to go in, actually. I think they're just waiting on the truck dump bed box, so they were getting everything there, and they have most everything except for that, so.
Okay.
They said we'll have it back by December though, so that's awesome.
Ready to plow snow?
Ready to plow snow.
All right.
It's a shame that that's what we have to do nowadays to make something, to have something that functions, unfortunately.
It's probably a better truck than.
It is a better truck, and you can't buy a truck that's functional, sadly.
It's not a computer technician on board.
And the $79,459 for community crossing grant, we're matching what the state has given us with that?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to look that up for everybody's knowledge out there.
Thank you, Bob. Attorney Austin, are legals in order on this side?
Yeah.
Okay.
The clerk indicated.
All right, thank you. Kind of put the cart in front of the horse. We had our opening remarks already. Mr. Parker, would you mind reading resolution number 1354 by title?
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, resolution number 1354, an additional appropriation.
All right. Thank you, sir. We will open up the floor to remonstrance. Any remonstrators here for or against this additional appropriation? Anyone here for or against? Last call. All right, we'll close remonstrance. Any town council discussion? If not, do we have a town council decision?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 1354 for additional appropriation.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Dixon, seconded by Ms. Rivera, to approve resolution number 1354. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Seal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Public comment on agenda items. Public comment on agenda items only. Yes, ma'am.
Cheryl Parker, 7227 West 136th Court. Could you explain or just clarify, what is number 5, firework permit for North Point Pyro? That is not related to the town, correct?
No.
That's a separate private event?
Yeah, I think
So-
we did this last year. Chief Welkening, maybe you know this best?
The project applied for a state permit, built its own barge, and put on their own show.
So in order
Follows all the
to, for a
rules and
private event
regulations
like
of the
that,
state.
they have to apply to the town to get permission?
Yeah, so that's
Okay.
and a state permit, so we did.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's the same day as the fireworks for the Summerfest after it. July 5th or something.
Anyone else? Anyone else for public comment on agenda items? Last call? All right, public comment on agenda items closed. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Number 1, claims, all town funds, $441,305.92. Wastewater operating, $12,425.09. Water utility, $49,857.43. Stormwater, $23,455.31. Payroll, 6/6/2024, $411,061.99. And May remittances, $227,752.42. Number 2, manual journal entries from May 1st to May 31st, 2024. 3 donations, in-kind donation of the Nalox box?
Naloxone box.
Naloxone box, I'm sorry, pod and naloxone kits from Sounds of Sarah.
Just say Narcan.
Narcan, okay. Narcan kits from Sounds of Sarah. $100 donation from Scott and Carla Burrell for K-9. Do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Make them,
Oh, we got 3 of you. All right, we've got a motion by Mr. Parker, seconded by Ms. Rivera to accept the consent agenda. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Jen, did you send out the June 4th minutes?
No, that's why the agenda was updated earlier
Okay,
today, but
I'm looking off the old one. I see the minutes in there.
Yeah.
So we scrapped that because I just went into my phone and looked and I still couldn't find them. I thought maybe I missed them.
that was removed from the agenda.
All right, so then I'll scratch that. Okay.
Anything else, Bob?
No, that's the only thing I caught on my agenda and I couldn't find the minutes.
Okay.
I'm using the old one.
All right, thank you. Okay, if there's no more discussion, roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
yes.
Richard Seal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. We'll move on to ordinances and resolutions.
Mr. President, if I may, I'd ask if we could amend the agenda to include a second item to ordinances and resolutions, which would be ordinance 1490, pertaining to the unsafe building ordinance.
Okay? 1490. We have a motion to amend. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Teal, seconded by Mr. Becker to amend the agenda to be a first reading of ordinance number 1490?
Correct.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Seal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes, motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 1490 by title only.
No.
Oh,
Go back to 1489.
Yeah,
oh,
1489 first.
oh, we don't have to go through the whole reading process of it? 1490?
You will, and see if it's on your agenda.
Oh, okay, gotcha, it'll be number 2?
Yeah.
Rich's motion was to add it to.
The second,
Oh, second.
since this was on there first.
Okay, I
Yeah.
apologize. I had it written down too, number 2. Okay.
So this draft one is 1489?
No, I have to we have to go through 1489 first. Rich made an amendment to the agenda to place it number 2 on ordinances and resolutions. I messed up on that.
A different ordinance, Bob, is the number 1.
So you're doing 1489?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. I got confused there.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, this will be ordinance number 1489, special events amendments, second reading.
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, ordinance number 1489. An ordinance amending town ordinance number 1478, being an ordinance amending town ordinance number 1465, being an ordinance establishing chapter 103, Title I Act, and amending chapter 99 of Title I Act entitled General Regulations pertaining to policies and procedures for permitting special events within the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, repealing all ordinances, town code provisions, or parts thereof in conflict herewith, and all matters related thereto. And repealing all ordinances and town code provisions, or parts thereof in conflict herewith, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any remonstrators here for ordinance number 1489? Anyone here for 1489? No? Last call. Conference is closed. In our packet, we do have the ordinance. We did leave blank the section that says no less than blank days. Attorney Austin, do we just have to make clear in the motion that
Put the number of days in there, and then make the motion.
And it was to be no more than 10 days.
no more than 10 days? Yep.
That actually got sent here last week. But I know Jeff's staff was out.
Okay.
So processing of that probably didn't occur.
Okay.
So your motion could pick that up, and then we'll make sure it's right.
Okay.
Signatures and processing.
So it'd be in no less than 10 days?
No more than.
It says less than the thing here.
Yeah, it'd have to be changed to no more than 10 days. Bob.
We discussed it at the last meeting, Bob.
Yeah.
Okay, well, with the paperwork I got here, it says less, so I gotta change that to more.
Yeah.
We haven't received the revised resolution at the time that we put the packet together.
And then the 30-day requirement was stricken, was my understanding. It's gone. Okay. Any discussion on this item? Okay. If not, do we have a motion? This will be for adoption, correct? Attorney Austin? Okay. Do we have a motion to adopt ordinance number 1489 with the provision that special event permit shall be filed prior to the outdoor event or special event occurring and processed and administered in a business-like manner by the town administrative staff under supervision of the town manager in not more than 10 days in the section titled Permit Required.
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Parker and seconded by Mr. Teal to adopt ordinance number 1489 with that revision. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
No.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Teal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes, motion carries 6-1. Thank you. So now we will have first reading of ordinance number 1490.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So which one is that gonna be? Is it gonna be the draft or or this one?
It's the one that I handed you before the meeting?
This one here, this thick package?
Yes, that's correct, Bob.
All right.
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, ordinance number 1490. An ordinance amending town ordinance number 246, being an ordinance for the enactment of procedures on unsafe buildings to be known as the unsafe building ordinance of the town of Cedar Lake. Town of Cedar Lake, Indiana, pertaining to the establishment of policies and procedures for identifying and addressing and abating unsafe buildings located within the town of Cedar Lake, Indiana, and repealing all ordinances and town code provisions or parts thereof in conflict herewith and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, sir. Before we get to public comment on this item, Mr. Teal, did you have an idea what we're doing here?
Yes.
This is only first reading, by the way. We are accepting, or we're considering a first reading, and if that gets approved, then a second reading at the next meeting.
Correct. Just a brief rundown. So basically, ordinance 246 was adopted in 1978. It's quite a while ago. Since then, there was another ordinance with the Unsafe Building Fund that was actually, the fund was never created. So being a chairman on the Unsafe Building Department, a lot of issues that we have to deal with, current policies, state statute and stuff has changed a lot since then. So this basically cleans a lot of it up. There also in the back, I'd like to point out just one of the main things is the fee schedule. In the past, what it was actually costing, you know, just for meetings, for doing title work and everything else, building inspectors and stuff was... Okay, thank you. And so basically, there's some updated fee schedule. Dave, is there anything else you think I need to add to it, or?
No, that was substantively what occurred here. We could have done this two ways. One was this way, and the other way was excerpting out, cutting and pasting, and we would have done like it was done in 1978.
Yeah.
So this is essentially a replacement, bringing current under Title 36, unsafe building law, and getting the expenses current, the value of cost for the services provided by the town's unsafe building department.
That ordinance from 1978, you showed it to me before, it was like a paragraph.
And it's been updated here and there, like I said, with the unsafe non-reverting fund. Jen did some research on it and they couldn't find it anywhere. So instead of just creating the fund, kind of would be putting the cart before the horse, because it would not fix the issues that we face in unsafe building when we're, you know, trying to get some stuff done. And I know, you know...
You know, I'm in favor of creating the fund and where some of the money comes from and all this business. I just don't understand why it takes all this to do that. I haven't read through it, but this is pretty thick ordinance.
Well, a lot of it, I believe, is this...
It's Indiana code.
Yeah, the Indiana code is, what, 30-some pages, I believe?
Right.
That's probably what takes up.
The ordinance is 3 pages?
Yeah.
3 pages, yeah. The exhibits are the rest.
Yeah, and when I handed you guys the draft, as Bob just stated, that did not have the fee schedule on it as well. So now this is complete.
Okay. And I've expressed this, sometimes I feel that there's too much repetition in that, and it's too complicated, and sometimes the priority list isn't what it should be.
Right, and I know that you and I have talked about this quite extensively, Greg, and just to give you a scenario, we have 15 items on the unsafe list, and almost every time we're running into plan commission meetings. We did have one case where I made the suggestion we had what was going to be on unsafe list for a garage on 142nd that was basically on the ground and 2 walls just standing, almost like an A-frame style. I made the recommendation at one of the meetings to, instead of just sending a letter for them that they're going to have to start coming to the unsafe meetings, I said, how about we just send them a letter that it's going to be on unsafe, if they don't rectify the situation. It was completely unsafe, it was completely falling down, so they ended up, going and getting a contractor in town, before the next month's meeting. It was down, leveled, they never had to come in front of the thing, so that was, if we followed procedure on everything on that, I would've had to have them coming here, add to the list, send them out the mailers, and all of this keeps costing things, so that's one scenario. The other ones, I'm completely aware of the blighted situations, which, what Jeff handed out to us, that Ready 2.0 grant, which I know we're not able to get it now, but in the near future, working with Unsafe Building Department, I'd like to see the town possibly apply for some of these for blighted areas to maybe help out citizens. Mary Joan and I are on Rebuilding America, as far as what they do, where they go out and help citizens in Cedar Lake and stuff like, and other communities. The first meeting I attended, it just so happened to be where they brought the recap when they did the 9 homes in Cedar Lake. So with Unsafe, with this Ready 2.0, which I would assume that next year would be 3.0, we could potentially, as a town, maybe work with the, with the non-for-profits like that to help some of these residents, maybe on fixed incomes, can't fix old houses, stuff like that. So that is my objective moving forward with Unsafe Building. So it's not just, I don't like the looks of your house, tear it down.
Yeah.
So just so I'm clear.
That's kind of what I want to get away from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks.
I hope I explained it enough.
I like where you're going with it, Rich, I get it.
And when I do say this is a joint thing with Mr. Beal, who's actually in the office as well. I've had messages back and forth with Heather as well, moving forward with stuff, keeping them up to speed where we're at in the process. Jeff and I are new to the board. Heather has been on it for, definitely longer than us. So a lot of the input came from her as well, just with frustrations she's had with kind of almost like a hands-tied situation. So that was the need for the revision of it. Okay. Or rewriting, I should say.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any other discussion on this item? 1490? We'll open up the floor to remonstrance, public comment on this item. So please come on up, state your name and address for the record.
Robert Grosek, 14055 Deodore. What ammunition do you have, so to speak, to find these people? I've been to the unsafe building, and I've seen people walk out of here laughing because they got one over on them because they're walking out the door. And to me, that kind of, now what? You're looking for funds. Is there anything in the ordinance that gives you the authority to collect or to put something on it?
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
The Indiana Code provides for recovery of damages, including treble damage, attorney fees, and costs. And they're adopting the Indiana Code by this ordinance.
Okay. That's why I just wanted to clarify.
I'm glad you said that, and I want to add to my former comments. So we will be, if no one pays these demolition bills in the future, we will be foreclosing on these properties as we do the work, and we're not going to have anything hanging out there.
That's the idea of it, and we did have one that was torn down, close to here, around 146. That individual did come in, they made 2 installments, one large installment, and then followed up by a $500 or $600 installment that went back into what the expense of that was. We do have currently 3 now that have recently been torn down. The first one, Hilltop, I do not remember the address.
Right on the corner.
128th and Hilltop.
129th and Hilltop.
Yep, there you go, Bob, thank you. That was the first one that Mr. Kubiak tore down earlier this year. The most recent, had been on the list for quite a while. The demo order was about to expire on them. One is on 135th, the other was 139th. The 139th parcel burned down, I believe, 4 years ago. And we finally tore it down now.
So what kind of time frame do you put these people on? I mean, I see that we're gonna defer it till next meeting, defer it till next meeting, defer it till next meeting. Is it 90 days, 120 days, 160 days before you say, hey, you've been telling us the same story for 5 months?
On a case-by-case basis.
That is true, Bob. It is definitely on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
And, but now, the sooner we get this ordinance in place, the sooner we can act on it.
Is funds availability is what kind of drives what happens with it. There's, but you don't want to spend $1 million a year on that either. I mean, you want to try to get compliance.
Absolutely.
Cooperative compliance.
That's the ultimate goal.
And Greg and I have had several conversations. If we can come to the agreements on certain things in this ordinance and work with building department, like I stated with the house, you know, with the garage on 142nd, if somebody needs a permit and, you know, make it aware, hey, you're gonna be on this, you know, if you don't get your deck fixed, you don't get your, you know, the hole in your roof fixed, you know, we make it clear that they do everything they can possible to get in, to pull the permit, you know, to get that fixed. So it's not just, right now, the way it is, you know, we go out there and, you know, we'll say a deck is pulled away from the house. Well, next thing you know, it's an unsafe thing, and now you know, we are spending a lot of money just to send out notification, get the people in here, the attorney sitting here, the inspector going out and doing a report and everything. So if we can get ahead of the situation and start issuing permits to fix things, instead of just quick to put them on the unsafe, that would take a load off of the whole commission.
Thank you.
The result, I mean, the result that we should be looking for is improvement.
Absolutely.
Not demolition, because it's
Absolutely.
cost everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when they're not making those improvements,
I
and I
agree.
see them walking out of here laughing at the board, are you kidding? And I think you know who we're thinking, okay, I'm not gonna go into detail. But, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else that'd like to comment on the first reading of ordinance number 1490? Last call? Okay, public comment on this item is now closed. Any other town council discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 1490?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Becker, seconded by Ms. Rivera to approve the first reading, or accept the first reading of ordinance number 1490. Any discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Seal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Ricciuto?
Yes, motion carries 7-0, and we will have the second reading, the next meeting, July 2nd, I believe.
And I have one additional comment on, and again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, but the town owns 2 unsafe buildings, and the one up there near Bob's house,
127.
we have some,
127.
we have someone who wants to buy the property if we tear the building down. That needs to be a priority. And the other one that you had talked about, doing a gazebo or something over there near Rockland Street,
No.
that one should also be a priority because the town shouldn't own unsafe buildings.
Yes, and with that one, Greg, I did mention that to Tony months ago. I actually went as far back as asking the building department if we can resurrect the plans from the trail that I seen that was presented years ago. I don't even remember how long ago it was with NERC. I remember sitting here seeing the everything up there with the, you know, people canoeing down the creek and everything. So this falls along that. I know that a few of us were at the Parks Master Plan public meeting, and knowing that Parks really cannot do anything as far as seek state or federal funding or anything like that until their master plan is in place. So now that we're getting closer with that, it's kind of one of those situations that I see town-owned parcel, a house on unsafe building, and a potential turning over to parks to either put picnic area, walking trail on, or something like that. But that would not be in an immediate future, but as far as tearing it down, there's logistical hurdles, I should say, for that parcel exactly, but I do have a plan.
I'm aware of that, and I just want it to be a priority. I know that it's gonna be a process, and there's challenges, but...
Yes, and there's other ones that Mary Joan and I have in mind, as far as, killing multiple birds with one stone, handling water issues, parking issues for baseball fields, along with either like little activity areas and stuff like that on another parcel that we need to start thinking about. So, yes, we have a lot of plans. Some of the stuff cannot take place until a Parks Master Plan comes in, just for the aid and assistance in funding. So, yes, there are a lot of things on the horizon. It can't be done overnight.
I understand. The one over by Bob, though, has been hanging out there for a while. We missed an opportunity on that. Now we got...
I was in that
more
meeting
potential
last
challenges.
year, and I couldn't agree with you more.
I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna move on to new business, award a contract for the fire department emergency vehicle preemption project bid. This item was deferred on June 4th, 2024. We got a letter in here from Christopher B. Burke, the engineer, and states there were two bids on this project, one from Midwestern Electric Incorporated for $72,061.00, the other from Hawk Enterprises Incorporated for $59,308.80. The final engineer's estimate for the project was $50,730 without contingency. This can be seen from the table above, the apparent low quote for the project at a total unit cost of $59,308.80 is Hawk Enterprises. As this appears to be the lowest responsive and responsible quote for the project, we recommend that the subject contract be awarded to Hawk Enterprises Incorporated. So our engineer's recommending to accept the bid from Hawk Enterprises.
Do we see an expiration date on here?
I went through that while we were
it.
discussing, and I couldn't find one. I guess my question, this is a legal question for Attorney Austin, based off of what the representatives from Veritas said, if that's the route we wanted to go, have it covered under owner contingency, would it be advisable to accept this contract with what they gave us verbally here, hoping that we can get a refund?
You don't have anything in writing?
I haven't seen, this is the first we've had this discussion about this.
This should be an agenda item.
Okay.
Jeff should be requesting some documentation information.
Okay, from GM Development, or?
Well, whomever he's gonna get it from.
Okay.
It could be GM, it could be Core.
Yeah, I didn't see an expiration on the...
And this is for the lights, right?
Yeah.
This is the preemptive flashing light system.
Right, and I had a question for Lance in that meeting that we had with Jeff as far as the flashing lights, and I know what they have, like, in other communities as far as, in front of the stations, in front of Dyer and stuff like that. Lance did make the comment about flashing lights then, and they mentioned it again today, and I think we need clarity for sure on which lights are flashing. I understand if it's a strobe, that's flashing, but if I see a flashing red light, I made it very clear to Lance, I'm going to stop it and I'm going to continue on. So is it a solid red? So I want to see clarity in that, and I'm sure it would all be in whatever code and stuff like that.
Rich, I think I could clarify something for you. The preempter is the device that turns the actual lights on.
Okay.
So, like at 133rd and Parish, for an example, it actually turns the light green.
Correct.
So all the traffic flushes with it. So it can be set up any way. If you look at across the street from the fire station, there is a pole there that has an indicator on it, so that when we're coming out of the fire station, it hits that and activates that light. So that way, you know, you have that thing goes 700 feet when it kicks 700 feet out, and then it starts flushing traffic so we can go through there, and we're not trying to fight with traffic. So, the way I understood this, there was gonna be two stoplights, there was gonna be a stoplight on poles that were gonna turn red when that preemptor turned on, just to stop traffic from going from both ways so that we could get out onto Morris. That's what I was explained to late into the project when it was discussed online. And that's when the town manager from, our old town manager.
So then this is just for the preemptor,
This is for the whole deal.
The whole project.
the whole project?
Two lights and the preemptor, and then there's signage on those poles also that says emergency, you know what I mean, it says something on.
Okay. I just wanna make sure, you know, that
It's
we're
the-
clear
it's the-
on what all's included, what's not, and,
Well, I think it's advisable, as Attorney Austin said, to defer this. Jeff gets with Veritas, GM Development, whomever they have
And I'll
to, get a
check with
commitment.
the bid providers to see if, I would think they'd have to give us at least 60 or 90 days, as far as a valid time period to, make a decision on a quote.
Okay. And then, I guess we would expect
Maybe
something.
not.
Well, I don't know for sure.
Knowing where they're at in terms
But-
of construction and activities, you're gonna probably try and bring the conclusion of all pieces about the same time. I don't know if that's 60 or 90 years.
That's, like I said, that's.
Okay. So we'd be looking for something in writing from them for the next meeting. Okay. Thank you.
Do we need a motion to defer?
If someone would like a motion to defer this item to the July 11th, or I'm sorry, July 2nd town council meeting?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Ms. Dixon, seconded by Mr. Teal to defer this item to the July 2nd town council meeting. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Hill?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Cupido?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Number 2, approve and accept the training reimbursement agreement for fire department, Connor Riley.
Part of his employment.
Part of the employment. Same as the rest, correct? Okay. Gentleman we had here today for the oath. Okay, do we have a motion to approve and accept the training reimbursement agreement? Who was that? That was
Chuck.
Chuck.
That was fast.
Oh.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Becker, seconded by Mr. Parker, to approve and accept the training reimbursement agreement for fire department, Connor Riley. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Hill?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Cupido?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Okay, let's get my agenda right here. Next up, we have approved performance letter of credit for Cedar Lake Storage in the amount of $7,700. Attorney Austin?
This will be discussed quite at length tomorrow night, I'm sure, related to components of the surety being provided and the ability to, well, satisfy the requirement.
I did call Cedar Lake Storage today and talked to them and told them, I asked them if they could come here tonight and explain this. They do have a contractor working on paving their property, and I told her she needs to ask for an extension.
So I'm unclear, is this for the public improvements or the paving?
No.
It's for both?
There was a little bit of public improvement, the finishing of the sidewalk all the way to the east. They stopped by the mailboxes there, there's like 15 to 20 more feet of sidewalk, and then a little bit of patching, asphalt patching in the public side of the sidewalk. That was one of them, and then the other was the actual rest of the parking lot. The
Okay.
commission gave them a timeline.
And that was June 15th,
Correct.
Okay.
so we're over.
Plan commission members have anything to add? Or we all good with this?
Well, they're past their a granted date to have the asphalt done in the back now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
They brought in that, what was it, the 21st, or, they brought in that letter from site services that said they would be on site 21st or something,
Yeah,
so.
so they're like a week past their deadline.
There'll be a bit of explaining.
I would imagine there's gonna be some discourse, yes.
But if they've got a contractor working on it, I'd like to see us giving them an extension.
Okay. Well, I talked with John Caporo, the president of the Planning Commission today about this, because it's kind of unconventional the way we're doing this.
It is.
Because of the timing, the next town council meeting is after this performance letter credit expires. Therefore, we can't wait for the Planning Commission to accept it, and then we accept it because it'd be expired at that point. That's the understanding, right? It is. Okay.
I think the heartburn that planning commissioners have is their attorney came in here in the work session and asked for another 90-day extension, and that was dissatisfactory for
It wasn't
everyone.
120?
It might have been 120. It was off the chain. And, again, there's going to be some not so healthy discourse because of that, because they had a deadline, they've been, kind of bent over backwards to work with them. And they didn't make the deadline, and then he goes for the fence on another extension, and it's just completely dissatisfactory to the planning commissioners.
So
I could see it, you know, just,
I don't know what they're gonna say tomorrow night.
I could see it getting 30 days, but I don't see it getting much past 30 days based on the dealings.
I mean, 30 days seems adequate according to the proposal that they brought in from their site services. He did say something about a trench drain or something in the rain, but.
Yeah, did Don look at that?
No, I'm gonna make it over there tomorrow to look and see before that meeting tomorrow, so I haven't had a chance, but it's on my list, so I'll check it out.
Can you give me a buzz afterwards so I know what you got over there?
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it.
Mr. President, I just have a question, just for clarity. So this is just for the line of, letter of credit for $7,700. This has nothing to do with the, I believe, $20,000 for the surety, if I'm correct on the number?
Well, they may want to link this stuff together.
That's why I just want to make sure, because I know Mary Jo just asked me, is that enough to pave? And I remember from watching the meeting that I believe it was around 20,000. Originally it was 10, and then they upped it. 13?
They doubled. It is in between 20 and 21,000. I don't know.
Yeah, so just so we're clear, you know, Mary Jo just asked me if that was enough, and there is more to it than this.
There is.
Yes, so
I
just
think this
so,
lower one was for the public improvement.
Yeah, for the sidewalk, yeah.
And then the other one was for the
for the back, yes, just so we're clear.
resurface.
All right. Any other discussion on this item? Do we have a motion? Anyone like to make a motion on performance letter credit for Cedar Lake storage?
I guess we need to.
Grab the cash.
Yeah,
Cash.
I'll make a motion to approve
Okay.
the performance letter of credit for Cedar Lake storage in the amount of $7,700. But there's probably going to be an addition to that, isn't there?
Tomorrow night, we'll learn it. It's not in front of you yet because it's not ready yet.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Okay.
Discussion.
Yeah.
Do we have to put a date, close it just before the date, or if they do get it paved, or?
The planning commission's probably going to
Yeah, they're awfully good at doing that,
drive that.
and calendaring and correcting.
All right. Very good. We have a motion made by Mr. Parker, seconded by Mr. Teal, to approve performance letter of credit for Cedar Lake Storage in the amount of $7,700.00. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julia Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Seal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Number 4, approve Christopher B. Burke pay request, Stage 2, Cedar Lake dredging pay request number 8 in the amount of $338,557.53.
Jeff, could you read that? On the dredging?
Dated June 7th, 2024, Town Council, Town of Cedar Lake. Attention Jennifer Sandberg. Subject pay request number 8 for the Cedar Lake dredge. Christopher B. Burke Engineering has reviewed pay request number 8 in the amount of $338,557.35 submitted by Dredge America dated March 25th, 2024, with the remaining documents received June 6th of 2024. Based on the completed and observed work to date, CBEL recommends payment in the following amount of $338,557.35, excuse me. This amount recommended for payment is the release of project retainage held for pay items number 2 through number 5. Retainage for item number 1 will continue to be held until demobilization is complete and a final pay request is received. Dredge America's partial waiver of lien has been provided for invoice number 7 as well. Sincerely yours, signed, J. Gordon, Construction Engineer.
Well, they got a lien, on the lake. So you have to have an asset to have a lien and waive the lien. It's just reason and logic.
It's a good question. There's something to answer.
We owe them the money, we gotta pay them.
All right. Do we have a motion on this item?
I make a motion to approve paying them.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made by Ms. Rivera, seconded by Mr. Parker to approve Christopher B. Burke pay request, Stage 2, Cedar Lake dredging, pay request number 8 in the amount of $338,557.53. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julia Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Seal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes, motion carries 7-0, excuse me. Number 5, approve firework permit for North Point Pyros. Chief Wilkening, do you have anything else to add other than what was stated earlier?
The owner of the property said, like he did last year, he would make donations to both police and fire for costs, to cover costs for any type of expenses.
Same location as last year, same
Yeah.
vicinity up north? Okay.
Yeah, he intends on going right after the other show, and then putting on a second, that'd be a second show the same night though.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Ms. Rivera, seconded by Mr. Teal to approve fireworks permit for North Point Pyros. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julia Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Seal?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Number 6, disbursement request number 14 from the 2022A construction fund for the police department project in the amount of $488,179.24. Any discussion on this item? Scott, do we have a motion to approve this request?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Becker, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Motion by Mr. Becker, seconded by Ms. Rivera to approve disbursement request number 14. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Hill?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Number 7, disbursement request number 13 from the 2022B Construction Fund for the Fire Department project in the amount of $872,087.15. Any discussion on this item? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Okay.
Motion made by Ms. Dixon, seconded by Mr. Becker to approve disbursement request number 13 from the 2022B Construction Fund. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
Mary Jo Dixon?
Yes.
Richard Hill?
Yes.
Greg Parker?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. We'll move on to reports, town council reports. Mr. Carnahan?
I don't have a report, I just got a question for Jennifer. In wastewater, I totaled up wastewater operations, wastewater development, wastewater special, and wastewater operating funds. That's all money we have available in those funds?
You're looking at the fund report specifically.
The cash report.
Yes.
Okay, and this is from January 1st through June 12th.
Yes, that is what I.
So according to all those four figures there, I total up $4,478,735.35. So that would be kind of an idea of what kind of money we have in the sewer fund?
Yes, but again, it's broken up between different funds. You have your operations and maintenance fund, you have your capital fund, you have the development fund, so
Which means it's less than that.
Is that where the true-up would come from?
Fund 633 WWTP is where true-up gets paid from.
Okay.
Like magic.
But that's what we're working off of right now, as of the 12th.
Yeah, I mean, I gave you all the funds, I didn't specifically pull out sewer, so I can't tell you whether or not your calculation is accurate.
I just based it on the figures you had on the report.
I don't have a report, but I got something that I want to point out. And we probably don't do this enough, but Jeff's administrative assistant, by all accounts that I've been told, is doing a phenomenal job, and she is energetic and on top of things, and I just think that she needs to be acknowledged for all her efforts.
I second the motion, and I've said that before too.
So,
Got a winner with her.
nice work. And we appreciate everything too.
And I hear phone conversations that people have called her and they said she's very pleasant.
Well, thank you.
Keep it up, yeah. And Kirsten. Okay, any other town council reports?
I have something, Mr. President, not necessarily a report, but I believe our new deputy IT started this Monday, or was it last
You
month?
started yesterday.
Started yesterday, just so everybody's aware.
Yeah.
So I have not had a chance to ask him how his first day went or anything yet, but,
It was an exciting first day.
It was
Let's
a pretty
speak
exciting
on
first
it.
day. The internet went down for a couple hours.
perfect.
No, we
No,
lost the
it was,
server.
we lost our server.
well, they're not good.
Yeah, it was a trial for a few hours there.
Luckily, it didn't happen the second day, otherwise we would have probably canned him and said something's wrong.
One other thing then, in regards to Mr. Caper's question about the fire pole in with OSHA, I would like to know, if Jen, if you can contact our insurance company regarding what we would be looking at if, with the fire pole in there versus no fire pole, if there is a difference. Because I know, you know, you have a swimming pool in a rental, they'll cancel you, you know, if you
So
don't.
you want to see whether or not, once we officially take over the buildings, what we're potentially looking at?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Where?
That is it.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Where are we at on the mechanic hire? Anybody know?
We're still accepting applications, I believe,
Okay.
For the end of this week, yeah.
through the end of the, I
Have we had
I
any?
think both positions through the end of this week, yes, there have been applications received for, both the mechanic's position and the open water crew worker position. So, yeah, at the close of this week, Mr. Kubiak has copies of all those to begin his review process.
And then Mary Joan and I will be copied as far as part of the review as council affairs, like we did with the deputy IT.
If that is what you direct to Mr. Kubiak, yes.
That is what we definitely want to do moving forward with all the hires like that.
Very good.
I've got another thing. I don't have a
Thomas,
date.
you didn't have anything.
Yeah, but I just, with Greg here, it made me think of something. The Chamber of Commerce, had a request from the Boys and Girls Club to have a business after hours. And, the date hasn't been set yet. And that's where people will come in and there'll be like, networking and they'll have some hors d'oeuvres and stuff, but the chamber is working that out with the new director, and I don't know what his name is, Greg, do you? Brandon?
Boyer.
So Diane's working that out with him.
What's that for? What exactly is that
It's
for?
a business after hours, like the Boys and Girls Club is a member of the chamber, and they have different businesses, like Cedar Lake Florist did it once, where he invited all the community in, right, and they came to your place, and
Chamber members.
yeah, they entertained them, and the town council's a chamber member.
That's cool. Okay. All right. We'll move on to town attorney Austin.
I don't have any.
Thanks, sir. Miss Amber for treasurer report.
A couple of things coming up tomorrow. I will be meeting with Mary Joan, I believe, is coming in, and Jeff, and we have a field examiner from State Board of Accounts. For our entrance conference, we have a compliance examination for our coronavirus state and fiscal funds that we have received. I don't anticipate that taking more than a day or so. Thursday morning, we will be doing a workers' compensation review with all departments to go over the process with the forms and the claims and, you know, all the steps to make sure they're taking the proper steps when any incident such as that arises. And next week, I will be attending the Indiana League of Municipal Clerks and Treasurers annual conference. 2 days of that conference is a State Board of Accounts called meeting, so for Tuesday and Wednesday, I get to listen to more State Board of Accounts.
You're gonna need a drink after that.
Maybe during it. Might help you through it.
So that's all I have.
All right, thank you, John. Town manager, Mr. Bundy.
Today, up at the county courthouse, I had the pleasure of a meet and greet with Indiana State Comptroller Elise Nishala. Very interesting. Learned a little bit more about the financial portion of what Jennifer and other clerk treasurers and other financial management people throughout local government put up with. I mean, or didn't mean put up with, but endure, maybe, as far as the challenges that come up every day to find funding and then work with the state. And one of the things that she passed out at the meeting was a financial report for the state of Indiana as far as our credit rating and such. And Indiana is one of only 14 states in the nation that has earned the highest credit rating of AAA from Fitch, Moody's, and Standard & Poor's. And The other thing that they provided was that Indiana has one of the lowest debt levels in the country at $366 per capita. That makes us the 7th lowest in the United States.
Wow.
As far as a very fiscally and financially stable state, obviously it seems like we're doing a pretty good job.
We're just strapped with federal debt, that's all.
We're just strapped with
Yeah.
$75 trillion in federal debt.
All right.
That's all I have for now.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bungie. Director of Operations, Mr. Kubiak.
We've been, patching potholes and, we got the pool patch, we finally got the tank cleaned out and some new emulsion that's not 20 years old, seems to be working much better. We got a couple more houses to tear down on the list on Fernwood and, I can't think of that other name of that road over there, but Windsor. And, they were waiting for NIPSCO to disconnect the electricity still. We finally did get through to them to get them disconnected, so, they're in the process. So, they said they should be done within the next 2 weeks, so those can go. And we did finish up the 139th and the one on Hilltop finally. We got some dry dirt in there, which we had. We were just waiting for it to stop raining every other day, so we finally got that graded up and seeded and get those bills to safe buildings so they can get those processed. So we did also have another problem we found on by Dr. Mish's on 140th here with the road project. There's a 21-inch clay storm sewer pipe that's collapsed and falling apart going up the hill there.
Storm sewer, you said, right?
Storm sewer.
Not sewer, okay.
So we're gonna be diving into that, I think Monday or Tuesday coming up and replacing about 120 feet of 12-inch pipe to get that fixed before we put a new road over it, so. Just one of those things, may as well, we gotta fix it while the road's tore up before we put a new road in there, so.
Good deal. I promised a couple of residents I'd bring it up to your attention, but corner of 141st Avenue and Cottage Grove, where the cross culvert is across Cottage, there's a bunch of locate flags. Is that any work we're doing over there, or is that some utility?
They were working on cleaning all that stuff up to the south there, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. They had mentioned, they thought maybe the culvert was getting replaced or something. I know it got jetted a while ago, but the residents had raised some concerns about the culvert being kind of jagged up top and rusty and that, so I don't know if the guys got a chance to take a look at it this week. They'd really appreciate it.
Will do.
All right, thanks, Tim.
What else? You said a couple things. That's only one.
It's the flags and the jagged pipe, yeah.
You want more?
Yeah. All right, thank you, Tim.
It's only Tuesday.
All right. Police Department, Chief Fisher?
We had 1,180 calls for the month, with 565 traffic stops. With that, we had 233 citations issued, 696 warnings, 28 arrests, 41 charges, 50 ordinance warnings, and 80 ordinance citations issued for the month. So very, very busy month for us. So we've been trying to tackle some problem areas that we received some complaints on from some citizens, particularly the baseball fields that I know Julie's been getting a lot, but I got a nice email from one of the complainants that we were up there this weekend a little overtime and had no problems. Said it was fantastic. So,
Thank you for that.
we're going to continue to work with them. We're working directly with the boys baseball and the girls softball to try to figure out something. There is a potential proposal that I'd like to bring forth to the council, which it was brought to my attention, is to possibly moving the park, but I haven't had a chance to talk to Mindy about it yet, maybe expanding the parking lot since the baseball fields aren't going anywhere. So I'm going to bring it up to Mindy and see if it's something that the parks might be willing to do to be able to accommodate more parking for the amount of games that are being played. But
Mary Jo is working on a plan that she's going to bring to us in the future here.
okay, then I will
That
work
is
on
correct.
Hers involves 9 acres.
Hey, the more the merrier, I think that's a fantastic idea. Mine was just moving the park a little bit and getting more parking spaces, so 9 acres is a lot more parking lots, so.
May these proposals, will that affect the project that's been approved and in queue for the guardrails to go around the existing parking lot right now? 'Cause
Mine would,
that's being
but,
scheduled.
yeah, mine would, but if she's got
Is
something
it-
else
well-
going, then I will not
Can
propose
we-
anything.
Maybe that could, when's the season end, Bill, do they mention to you?
It's almost finished. They're, right now, the baseball, received the state, tournament, but it's going on right now this week. It started on Sunday, but they limited the number of games and spaced them out so that parking was available.
Okay.
They worked with them, they're working with my patrol commander. I don't know how much more we have on softball, but it's getting close.
Because I was just wondering, maybe if we could, I don't know, help having the Parks Department delay it until after the end of the season. I mean, I know it's like right around the corner.
Yeah.
If you want to talk to Mindy about it, talk to Little League and Girls Softball and see if that just could be a solution for right now.
Definitely something I can bring before the board for consideration.
And then we had some other complaints of speeding violations that we worked in certain areas and made some people very happy. Well, the people that weren't driving.
Make some people unhappy.
No, that's not our fault.
No, I know.
I don't care about that. The people lived in the area were very happy though.
I bet.
I got some text message comments, thank you, so.
Well, that's good.
Good.
Thank you, Chief. Fire Department, Chief Wilkening?
194 incidents for the month. 148 were actual EMS calls, fire 33, and 13 crashes with injuries. We're running at a higher percentage at 35% of multiple calls going on at the same time. And for the year, we're at 841 calls. I think we're up 13% for the year.
Even with losing part of the territory, so to say?
Township out there, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we still go out there periodically.
Right.
You know, we have no neighbors, but, I do have one more thing, and it's in reference to the fire pole. I know that it's become a hot item even on Facebook. You know, when we started the project, we included the fire pole in the project. Everything that was done in that building was authorized by the town council at the time, so, and I understand concerns about the safety, but we built that platform up there for training. So the whole upstairs would be utilized. At that time, you know, a lot of discussion was held about guys in total bunker gear training up their guys and gals and getting a call and running down the stairs. And the chances of somebody falling down the stairs are a lot higher than somebody sliding down an approved safety pole. The pole is a safety device. So I apologize if, you know, I understand if people are upset about it and thought it was a waste of money, but, you know, throughout this whole process of over a year of planning, we never had anybody ever even make a comment about it not being something that we should do. So.
Well, in fairness, just said it's been put in other projects they've worked on, so it's not like.
Yeah, and it's, you know, and I just, please, if you have any questions, I mean, I'd be glad to take your call. So, that's all I have, thank you.
All right, thank you, Chief. Parks Department, Ms. Ray? Hello?
Hi, I have nothing for you at this time.
All right. Any questions?
I do, for parks. How are we looking on the number on the surveys?
Last report I got, we were at 200, but we are still making a honest effort and a push to get more. I'm really hoping for 500. That would be a great
Yeah, and
number
Mary
for
Joan
us.
did put the barcode scanner over on the table for anybody that didn't hear earlier, that if they want to do the scan and fill out the survey. And I did like seeing the survey over at the farmer's market, as long as with the little boards with the little stickers. Mary Joan and I and a few of us were at the at the public meeting over at the clubhouse the other day, last Tuesday, I believe it was. It was good to see that there, just for more than just residents seeing the survey, you know, the people that come to the park, or to the farmer's market. That is what I feel would be great input for what we can do as a town with the Parks Department, for getting people's input. You know, what would help draw more people here, even to, you know, trail systems and stuff like that, bringing them to the area. So I did like the presentation on what the possibilities could be moving forward.
Yes, and we're doing a big push above and beyond what's expected for the public engagement end of the master plan for the department. So there other opportunities and engagement opportunities are being set up in-house through our department. We'll be sitting at local restaurants and having opportunity. If you go to any of the restroom facilities that are either standard or portable in our park system, you will find the QR code on each one of them. Just trying to if you're waiting in line, you can take time to fill out the survey. So it was just some creative marketing opportunities that we were taking to get the word out there.
Nice.
Yes, we have people who will be out there from the committee. Mm-hmm.
I had a resident that called me over to the dog park, and the fence that is on the north side of the dog park, little dogs that are fully grown can escape in between the space, that it's not wide enough, it's not close enough to keep the dogs out. And then they walked me over to the railroad track, and we've got fencing that goes over there so far, and there's part of that if somebody was to run in through those bushes, they could hit the track. And it was suggested that we take that fence that's on the north side of the dog park and move that over there to help protect kids from running into the tracks, and put a cyclone fence up there on the north side of the dog park.
Thanks for reporting, Bob. I do ask that anybody who is a member of the dog park or having issues, that those come to my office so I can address, or the suggestions, so I can bring it before the park board for consideration. I feel that we have some people in the community who feel that it's best to talk to a council person, and in order for you to get the
I don't turn nobody down.
And that's great, and I appreciate it. But I do feel best practices should be to come through the park office first. That way we can address those in a timely fashion and get it for the people who make the decisions about that. So I already have a temporary, actually probably a semi-permanent repair opportunity for the fence that was previously installed before the Parks Department got there on the small dog side. We're talking about a 3.5-inch gap in between your slats of your fence. But we will definitely put a new system in play for that without hopefully replacing that as cyclone fence. And other suggestions, please bring them our way. We'd love to hear them and be able to address them appropriately for the community.
And then the railroad, can you see if they can cover the rest of that?
Yes, I will ask the board to consider that as well. That was one of the safety issues that when I first came on board, they did address.
All right, thank you.
By installing that fence.
Thank you all.
That will be all.
Thank you. Update and discussion, number 1, establishing a Parks Foundation. Did you have any questions on this, Mary Jo?
No, I was just gonna, emphasize that it's actually established, we just need members for it. So if you're interested in serving on the Park Foundation, if you could come stop by the town hall, and I'm gonna have a little packet available tomorrow after 3 o'clock that you can pick up, and it'll have some information if you're interested.
Could you just, for our sake, could you just explain what it's going to do and...
No idea what they're gonna do with it, but they have to have members first. I mean, park foundations throughout the state, raise funds to match things like, they'll come up with a goal, for instance. One of the parks came up with an amphitheater, and the Park Foundation is the one that raised the money, got the grants, and for that amphitheater. It's usually for a larger project, it's not for something small. And David, if you want to pop in, you can pop in too, but that's...
This isn't gonna, I guess what I was asking is, this
isn't going to address, like a land trust, to get the park into a trust so that they cannot be sold or
Oh, this is a
developed?
fundraising mechanism.
This is the nonprofit end of the parks, to work in tandem with a park board.
Will we be discussing a land trust for the parks eventually?
Yes, better talk to the park board.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion on this item?
Or join?
So-
I'm just kidding.
So we'll be looking for applications for this,
Yes,
for this foundation.
And how many members are on
A
that?
minimal of 4, correct?
Sorry?
Minimal of 4?
5.
5? Okay, sorry, 5.
And how does that selection process happen? Is it kind of same like any other board or commission that we've conducted in the past, or through?
It'll be a town council call.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
We're gonna fill the board.
there's one individual that's already interested.
Okay.
Just eligibility is you have to be a resident of Cedar Lake?
Interested in breathing.
Okay.
A little enthusiasm.
Yeah, resident and interested.
Okay, all right. Thank you all. We'll move on to written communication, building department report. We do have it in the packet.
We have it.
Yeah, we got it in the packet, so we had, for the month of May, we had 5 new residential construction permits. Total for the year is 57. And all other permits for May, we had 84 permits, with a grand total for all permits for the year to date, 292. So, moving along, I guess, huh? Christopher B. Burke report, that's also in the packet. Jeff, did you have anything to add, or any highlights?
Well, just for public's knowledge, Christopher Burke report was dated June 12th of this year, and this report covers activities basically from town council session, the town council session, May 18th through June 12th. Big thing is Cedar Lake Dredge America is in the process of removing all equipment from the lake. All pipe has been removed from the lake. The booster and dredge barges are now located at Pinecrest, awaiting removal that will which actually most likely began last Friday. The dredge and other equipment will be removed from the town and transported to another job, where Dredge America will be another job. For approximately, it's gone, okay, for a 2-month project, and then the removal of the land-based pipes, corridor, SDF sites, and things like this. Pay application number 8 we talked about earlier. NERC state legislation, INDOT and Department of Natural Resources updates. We have 2 TIP-related funded projects that are on for 2024 through 2028. The biggest and the closest ranging one of those is the raising 133rd Avenue from Robin's Nest to Colfax Avenue. 133rd Avenue project program for 2025 with construction funds, protect funds, and $454,500 federal funds and $113,626 in local match. These values will most likely be adjusted for inflation. A couple things that we have completed around town. Crack ceiling and striping projects, community crossing grant 2023-2 is complete. Final pay application was provided May 24th. Final contract price was $160,488, which had a slight overrun of $1,570 because we added additional striping to the project. The ADA ramps at Lynn's Way are complete. Final contract price on that was $72,904, which came in $5,441 under the awarded budget. Shades continues to be worked on. Yes.
The one on, have you got to 133rd Avenue road grade?
That's one I just did.
Okay, well, it's where they're going to raise the road at 133rd in the dip there.
Yes.
And they did a depth of 10 feet and 50 feet and discovered underneath there that the pavement sections are in very poor condition.
Yes, that was one of my goal items that I was going to cover. But yes, so that may need additional engineering and some showing up for that extremely poor, almost boggy kind of conditions that are there. Well, you got to figure that's probably been a low spot for hundreds of years, so it's probably been filling in with organic material for.
And probably never ever designed properly when it was put in. Possibly.
Probably so.
It's culverts across the swamp, that's all it is.
It's across the swamp from one side to the other. That's about all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Bungie. We'll move on to public comment for the town council. Anyone here for public comment? Come on up, Nick. Just give us your name and address for the record, please.
I live at 7,000 West 137th Place.
Your name?
Yeah. My name's Nick, by the way.
Worley.
Willie, yeah. I have a question for Mary Jo. What's up with the mirrors on the poles? I've been noticing that.
Oh, that was added to assist people when they pull out.
Okay.
So like where that curve is, over by the Cedar Lake Florist, that's a blind spot there, so that gives them vision.
Okay. Bill
worked with a neighbor there and got that taken care of.
Okay, because I just want to know what the two mirrors were on, you know, there's one, I know there's one going toward St. John's. I know there's a mirror on that side of town.
Okay, I just know of the one by the floor shop.
Yeah, there's two of them actually.
Okay.
I noticed that.
There's only one.
I think I know which one he's referring to. I believe it's a private resident on Klein Avenue, so they can see getting out of their driveway how wooded it is. I believe it's Turnquist property. There is one there, and that is on the way to St. John.
Because I'm like looking at it, I'm like, I don't know what those mirrors are for.
Safety.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Nope.
Anyone else for public comment? Anyone else?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Andy.
There was a meeting about the streets, and how did it wasn't published, that the engineer had put out regarding 8 different places in town that were dangerous intersections, and then they had a meeting.
Yeah, I thought that was published.
I didn't see any advertising for it.
I did see the publication for it.
It's on YouTube.
Well, I know it's on YouTube,
I
but...
saw it, but Mr. Rose, there was only one person there.
Cliff?
It was posted on the town website, it was posted on the main bulletin board, it was published to our YouTube stream, the van.
It's not on the meeting schedule. I didn't see it on the meeting schedule.
Okay. Well,
we probably should have made an announcement here.
Yeah.
Now, the purpose of that meeting is similar to like the public meeting that they just had for the Parks Department, from what I understand, because this would be in relation to any like community crossing grants and stuff like that, I believe what they stated in the meeting. So normal public awareness type stuff, as far as it's a process they are required to do.
Well, I wanted to thank him for the meeting, it was very informative.
Yes, I agree.
I wish it was attended, but it was good to see it on YouTube nonetheless.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Angie. Thank you. Ms. Amory, do you have anybody online?
No, there are no attendees online.
Okay. All right. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024 at 7 PM. This meeting is adjourned at 9:21 PM.
We're gonna stay